download your pattern and print it at 100% scale. We will have 3 pages for the pattern itself. I need you to cut the border at page 1 and 3 because you need to tape to complete the pattern. Let me show you the size chart. It will help you when you're choosing your size using your smallest waist measurement. I got a 27-inch measurement there, so I should cut the 26-inch pattern. Instead, I cut the 28-inch, so my thong ended up being just a little bit wider than I wanted it, which you might notice when I try the thongs on at the end of the video. I'm cutting out the front thong pattern. I forgot to mention, you should measure the test square provided to make sure you've printed your pattern correctly. It's a 2-inch square, so everything is okay. Let's cut out the back thong pattern. I'm going to be cutting the innermost back pattern since it's the one that corresponds to my size range. Now that we have a back thong pattern, we need to have a gusset. I hopefully will draft a gusset for you guys, but you can measure 5 inches from the tip of your thong, and that will be your gusset level. Now I'm going to draw this onto a separate piece of paper. Now I have a separate gusset pattern piece. I have this pair of leggings. They're made of cotton. I already cut one side so I can make a matching bra, so I'll be using the other leg to make the thong. The stretch is mostly in the horizontal direction, so I'll be keeping note of that when I'm laying out the pattern. I'm cutting the leg open, and here we have a flat piece of fabric to use. Now that I have an open piece of fabric, I can start cutting out my pattern pieces. They will all be cut on fold. I'm going to start by cutting the gusset. I'll be using the bottom of the leg because it's hemmed, so I won't need to hem that gusset piece. I'm cutting out the front thong. It's on fold as well. And then I'm going to pin the gusset onto the front thong, wrong sides touching. And then for my back thong, I'm using the leftover fabric, placing it nicely and then cutting out my back. I am marking the center back and the center front. I will use these marks as references in the future. Now I have this 1.5 inch wide elastic for my waistband, and I have some fold over elastic. It folds to 1 centimeter when it's completely sewn. I already threaded my machine to have black thread because my elastic is black. We will be sewing this using a zigzag stitch. I make sure I have an elastic tail so that it's easy for me to sew. I'm matching up the edge of my thong with the center point of my elastic, holding the thread tails and using a zigzag stitch. I should have stretched my elastic a bit more, and you'll see that because my panty ended up being a bit wavy. Now at the point, you're going to lift your presser foot and measure 4.5 inches so that you can pin the back thong piece. Since I'm sewing with the thong facing up, I'm making sure the back thong is also facing up, so that way I'm working on the correct side of it. I am double checking that my 4.5 inches is correct, repositioning the back thong triangle, and then I keep sewing. Make sure you have an elastic tail here. Then you're going to sew elastic to the other side of the thong, making sure you have a thread tail. I will be overlapping the first elastic into the second elastic to connect them. Making sure to do that, lower the presser foot, continue with a zigzag stitch, stretch your elastic a bit more. The zigzag stitch length and width depends on your work. You can test this on some scrap fabric to make sure everything is okay. Now at the pointy part, you can do a small back stitch to make sure everything is overlapped and okay. Keep stretching your elastic, but do not stretch the panty. For reference, my zigzag stitch length is 2 and the width is 3. I was just cutting off some uneven bits and then keep on sewing. At the end, make sure you back stitch and you have an elastic tail. Let me flip to the inside. The gusset, I missed something there. Should have hand basted it instead of pinning, but You live and you learn. So I'm trimming the elastics to make sure everything is even at the points. Remember that hip measurement I took? Let's say I got 31 inches. I will be subtracting 4 inches from this measurement to make sure my elastic is snug. That will give me 27 inches. Now I need to divide that measurement by 2. First, on my elastic, I just draw a straight line to use as a guide for when I'm marking my measurements. 27 divided by 2 is 13.5. That will be my center back. Now I'm going to fold my elastic so that I'm working on 2 layers. Next, I'll mark half an inch away from that straight line. I should have made it a whole inch so that my V waistband is a sharper V, but that's okay. I also added a 1 centimeter seam allowance to sew my elastic with to create a loop. I'm cutting off the elastic I don't need anymore. Here I'm showing you ways in which you can sew the elastic. You can match up the elastic and sew at the 1 cm seam allowance, and then when you open it up you have a V point and a complete loop. Option 2, which is what I did, was to trim off 1 cm from one side of the elastic. Then I'm going to overlap by matching that cut edge with the seam allowance I drew. Then I'm going to sew at the sewing machine with a tight zigzag stitch, a width of 3 and a length of 0 point something. I need it to be a very tight zigzag stitch so that when the elastic is in operation there are no holes. I'm going to trim that 1 cm seam allowance that was left over, and voila, I have a waistband piece ready to be pinned in place. I'm going to use the center mark I created for the front and pin it to the center of my elastic. Then I'm going to start sewing from that point. I lower the needle first and then I pin my elastic to my panty and sew one side first using a zigzag stitch, a regular one. This time it's not too tight. And then I'm going to repeat that for the other side. To make sure everything is even, because this fabric was stretching out, I'm going to measure what one side is like. You can also use the pattern as reference. So this one side I've already sewn is 4 inches long. So I'm going to make sure the other side is also 4 inches long. There we are. And then I'm going to lower the presser foot and start sewing that side with a zigzag stitch. So before I go to the back, I'm going to sew a ribbon to the center front. I should have swapped to white thread, but it's okay, it's not visible. I'm doing a straight stitch to sew the ribbon on. Here we are at the back thong. I'm matching the center back elastic mark with the center back of the back thong, using the back thong pattern to make sure my fabric hasn't stretched out too far, holding the thread tails to keep sewing. And here we are, guys, our thong is ready. I'm going to show you close up so you can see what my work looks like. You can make as many thongs as you want to.